Data centers consume about 2% of global energy consumption, so it's a huge amount of energy. Data centers consume something like the same as the transportation industry, the aviation portion of the transportation industry. So it's a lot of electrons, it's a lot of kilowatt hours. So if we are to master energy management and become a truly sustainable society, we have to hit the data center. This is the epicenter of energy waste at companies all over the world. And as middle classes grow in emerging economies and the need for more data and more mobile becomes stronger in nations well beyond the United States, those data centers are going to have to be sustainable too. So I think that nobody would argue that we're going to be having less data on this planet, okay? We're only going to have more data. We're going to only have more cloud-based platforms. As these trends take shape, we're going to have sustainable data centers to deal with all of that data. To succeed in a more environmentally conscious, evolving economy, a company needs to acknowledge that sustainability is a business strategy. It is not a CSR campaign. It is not an advertising campaign. It is actually integral to a company's mission and to a company's way of doing business and making money. That sustainability has everything to do with how many units of a product you can sell, of how much license you have to operate in specific geographies, how much license you have to build a factory in China or build a factory in South Carolina. Completely depends upon how much you can prove that you're a responsible operating brand. So I think that when companies understand that sustainability makes them a more competitive enterprise, and that becomes a CFO issue and a CEO issue, etc., that's where you need to start. And that's when sustainability works the best, when the C-suite fully understands sustainability as a business imperative. And I think that, part of seeing it as a competitive strategy, it's also seeing it as a resilience strategy. So there's being competitive, and that's, making more money and pleasing more stakeholders than your competitors are. But then there's also preparing for risk. So when a brand is looking at the 21st century and what their brand is going to look like in 2020 and 2030 and 2040, they need to be looking at how their brand can evolve as constrained resources get more constrained, as global population exceeds 7 billion. Brands need to be thinking about these things so that they have a roadmap for evolving that brand over time. And that's dependent upon sustainability. You cannot evolve as a brand for the next few decades without that being a critical imperative. Edelman's clean tech practice is focused on every possible way that technology makes the world more sustainable. So how are we doing more with less using innovation? How are we managing water scarcity? How are we using renewable energy? How are we using tools to make ourselves more competitive through efficiency? We believe that companies and organizations become more competitive and they become more resilient, and they can make more money at the end of the day while pleasing more stakeholders by going towards sustainability. And one of the best ways to become a sustainable enterprise is technology. We can automate or use tools that make energy efficiency much easier. It doesn't have to be difficult. We can use enterprise software and sophisticated algorithms to figure out what time of day should I run that dishwasher, or what time of day should I be running certain computations in a data center, right? So technology is key to enabling a sustainable and competitive business environment and society. And so as a public relations firm, we believe that we can have a more sustainable society if everybody that contributes is telling their story about how they contribute.